So, friends, what's the first thing that you do when you're a UX writer and you start working for a new company or client? Right, a copy audit. And if now you're like, what? I've never done a copy audit before, or maybe you've done one, but you just went along without a systematic approach, then you've come to the right place. Because in this video, I will tell you what a copy audit is, why you need to do one, and of course, how it is done. Hello everyone, my name is Kat and I teach people about writing in tech, and on this channel right here you will find everything that you need to know, especially about UX writing. So if you want to learn more about all of that, make sure to hit subscribe and ring the bell. So, a copy audit. You might have come across this term before, but what exactly do we mean by that? Pretty simple. A copy audit is a structured and systematic review of existing copy, for example, of a website or an app, and it's a classic service that UX writers provide. But why do we need a copy audit? Now, usually you as a UX writer join a company or work for a client, and they will either ask you to just check the existing UX copy or even rewrite the existing UX copy. And since you, as the company's new UX writer, are responsible for the overall quality of the entire UX copy in the product, you, of course, have to check the quality of the existing UX copy. And a copy audit helps you to A, see if there is anything that needs to be improved about the existing copy, and B, to learn more about the existing copy so that when you write new UX copy for the product, you are already very familiar with the existing copy. So this is a good thing to do in the first couple of weeks of your new job. And if you have never done a copy audit before, or if you've done one but you don't have a systematic approach for it, I will now show you how to do a copy audit in a structured and professional way. So to make this as realistic as possible, we will be working with a real-life example, one that I have also worked with in my localization in UX writing online course. And by the way, check out my online courses if you like. You will find the link in the description below. Now, as always, I am not affiliated with this company. I was not asked to do this. I'm not paid to mention their name, nothing, okay? I once actually interviewed for this company and I loved them, but we unfortunately did not end up together because I was looking for a part-time position and they had to fill a full-time UX writing position. But I still love them, I love their product, I love their values. So shout out to today's example company, which is GetSafe, which is a neo insurer, so a startup that provides insurance self-services. So you buy an insurance from them and then you can manage this insurance with their app. So for example, file claims, upload receipts, whatever, okay? This is what their app is for. And customers are also supposed to manage their insurances with the help of the app only. So the app and the website and the chatbot of this provider need to have really, really good UX writing, okay? So this is a typical case where UX writing matters a lot. Now let's imagine you are a UX writer, you've done some interviews with GetSafe, they hired you because you're awesome, congratulations. And now they're like, okay, you know what? How about you check out the existing copy and see if it's good? Which is basically them asking you to do a proper UX copy audit. And here is what you can do when you're asked to do that. First, as with everything in life, we need a working space, a canvas. And this time we will not use Miro, we will use FigJam because there is a really cool Figma plugin that we might need to use here. And what we do is we open Figma and we start a FigJam board. And we set this board up in a way that allows us later to share it with our team. Because what I have realized during my career is that many teams don't know what these processes look like, okay? And when they say, check out the existing copy, they think that you grab a cup of tea and sit down and read through the existing copy, and then that takes you half an hour and that's it. Most teams have never worked with a professional UX writer before, so we need to help them understand this process. And this is why I used to share my boards with the team so that they can comprehend and even follow the process. And this is also why I start my board with listing the single steps of the copy audit process. And the copy audit starts with the existing UX copy and it ends with updated UX copy. And in between we have steps. First, the definition of the review criteria, then the definition of screens that we should review. Third, there is research results analysis. Then we have the heart of it, the copy review, of course. And ultimately, we have the rewriting of the copy. Of course, if you are only being asked to review the copy and not rewrite the copy, this is something that you don't need to do, but let's assume they also want you to improve the existing UX copy, if there's anything that needs to be improved, of course. Now, what I do to create transparency for my team in this process is I add these little circles with these little symbols in them. First, they all have the red crosses, and once I'm done with the step, I change them to green little checks, so my team knows how far I've already gotten with my process. And checking off these milestones, of course, also creates a little sense of achievement for myself throughout the process. So this is what we will do, and as you can see, we will start by defining the review criteria so that we know exactly what to look out for when checking the copy that we're supposed to check. These criteria serve as a reminder to what you need to pay attention to, and again, we also document this to make our auditing process transparent and comprehensible, okay? Now, I always review existing copy for quite similar criteria, and in this case, I chose, of course, correctness. So the information provided needs to be correct, of course, but also we need to ensure correct spelling and grammar. Second, we have relevance. So is the information that we give to the user really relevant? Do we need this information, or is it just, crowding the interface? Then we have currentness. So is this information up to date? Are the numbers that we share the latest numbers that we have? For example, if we say something like there are 50 people working in our company, is this number still true? Then I have the formal UX writing criteria, and I work with a set consisting of the criteria necessary, clear, concise, useful, conversational, and branded. Then I have the very specific voice and tone of the brand that we write for, so the copy must match this voice and tone. And ultimately, we have our knowledge about our target audience and our competitors. So our copy needs, of course, to align with what we know about them. For example, if we know that our target audience doesn't know much about insurances and doesn't understand the technical jargon of the insurance industry, and we use technical jargon all the time, and all our competitors are able to find simpler language for the same things, then we will lose our target audience to our competitors. So we make sure that out of all service providers in the market, we have the best copy for our target audience. So these are the criteria by which we want to review our example project, the website of our fictional client GetSafe. So we have our criteria, right? And that means that we're done with the first step, and we can exchange this red cross symbol with our green check symbol. And the next step in our process is the definition and collection of screens to be reviewed, the scope, so to say. So should we just review the onboarding flow, for example, or should we review the entire app or the entire website? And in our case, as I said, it is the website, and that means it's the entire website. And we want to bring the copy of the website onto our board so that we can work with it, right? So what we do is we collect all the screens that we should do a copy audit for on our board. And for this, you can either copy the screens from your designer's Figma file if your team has all the screens that are live and online in a Figma file. You just copy and paste them onto your FigJam board. But if you don't have all the screens in a Figma file, you can use the plugin that I already mentioned. And this plugin is called HTML to Design. You can just search for this plugin, install it, and for what we want to do, you might need to get the premium version, but we start with the free version. Now, when you have installed this, you can just paste the URL of the subpages of the website into this input field, and then the plugin will pull the single parts of the website onto your board. And the crazy thing is, you can edit the designs, so you can edit the text, the copy right here, okay? Sometimes you have to install the fonts, but then you can edit the text right here, which is absolutely awesome in case you don't only need to review the UX copy, but you also want to rewrite it, okay? Then you can also do that right here. But most of all, we now have all the designs and the UX copy on our board, and you can see that I structured the screens according to the structure of the website itself. So this is what we do here, okay? Collect all the screens on our board so that it looks something like this. And of course, this doesn't work with apps. So if you need to review an app, you might need to copy them from the Figma design file or take screenshots and put them onto your board. But generally, this is what we do in this step, okay? And once you're done with that, you can also check the second step off of your list. Now, these two steps, defining the criteria and putting the screens on here, is the basic preparation for our copy audit. And to that preparation, we can now add a third step, which is analyzing research results. And for this, create another space on your board and throw everything in there that is relevant, from the user research your company has conducted in the past, or the target audience and what they know about the audience. And for this case, it could look something like this. We have some information about our target audience here, for example, that we address a predominantly young, urban, and digital experienced audience that is somewhere between 18 and 35 years old and mainly consists of first-time or early insurance buyers. And when we move a little to the right, we see that GetSafe themselves say that they take their inspiration not necessarily from established insurance companies, but from companies like Airbnb and Spotify or Netflix. So companies that offer experience-focused, simplified services that their customers can actually identify with and that matches their values and lifestyle. So all of this information comes from GetSafe's strategic positioning. And by the way, this is real information I found on their website. Okay, so this is valid. And this is also why I put their little logo on these post-its, just to make clear that this is what GetSafe says about their strategic positioning themselves. And when we move down a little, we see some imaginary user research results that I basically just made up, just to give you some examples of what kind of information you can involve here. So just stuff that I imagined, but that might as well come from real user research for one of these new insurance companies. So for example, users might have told us that they have a fear of dealing with insurances and they feel insecure about buying insurances, like in general, and they also don't know whether or not they can trust insurance companies. There might also be some information that is specifically relevant for us as a digital-only self-service insurance company, like users value our competitive prices or users want human interaction, like a chatbot is not always what users want, etc. So this is the kind of information we put onto our board as well, because this is what you should keep in the back of your head when you do a proper copy audit, because the UX copy needs to work for the user. So we need to know what the user wants, okay? Like their needs, their likes, their fears, their hates, you know, what they appreciate, etc. Now, what I often do in addition to that is a competitor analysis. If you remember, this is also part of our criteria. I just want to see what kind of information our competitors provide their users with, or what USPs do they have, or what kind of language do they use, how do they position themselves in the market, etc. This just helps me to find our very specific place in this whole industry. And this is what I always do. It's the information I need in order to do the best job possible here. So what I do for this is I identify our most important competitors. And for our case, I chose these three, and this is also something I check with my team, okay? Especially when I'm new at working with a company. And then what I do next is I also bring the website screens of these competitors onto my board. And when I do that, you can see that I use the same structure as my website structure, okay? I mirror that because the structure of our website is the blueprint, right? And I only want to learn from them for my structure. And in this case, the structure contains the home section, the product section, and the about us section. And as you can see, I pasted the screens of these three companies' websites onto here as well, following this exact structure. And when you have all of those screens on here, you first of all breathe in and breathe out. You take a break, you zoom out of your board, you look at what you've already have on here. Be proud of yourself, okay? Because we have already learned a lot up until this point. Now, when you have all the designs in the UX copy of your competitors on here, the next thing that you do is you go through them, okay? And you take notes on what is communicated, how it is communicated, and everything else that seems relevant to you, okay? Everything that you can find and learn from for your copy audit. And when you're done, it could look something like this with all of your notes next to the screens. Now, let's zoom in a little and take a closer look at this so you can see the type of information I note here. And keep in mind, this is what we do before we look at our very own copy, okay? We try to see what others offer and how they offer it so that we can find our very own place in the market, okay? So let's dive into this. And first of all, you can see that we take notes for each screen, each viewport. And when we look at this, you can see that the first thing that I wrote down here is that this brand uses SAFE as their main USP, their main unique selling point, which strikes me, but of course makes total sense for an insurance company. I also noticed other USPs that they use in their narrative, like easiness and great value for money, which 100% matches the user research results that we've just read. So this is very, very smart. Now, when we go further down, we see that they switch up their narrative a little bit, because in their headline, they say, "Welcome to the safe side," but then they say, "Life has a lot in store for us. Not having the right coverage can come at high cost." So they also start using concepts like fear and risk, which is nothing too unusual for an insurance company, but I always preach to not work with such negative concepts. This is something that I want to intentionally avoid. And also I noticed that they use the same CTA in every single viewport, which is get free advice, which is also not a great solution because it's the only thing that they offer the user. And if the user doesn't want that free advice, well, then they won't get any interaction or engagement. However, we're not here to rewrite our competitors' UX copy, so we just take notes here and become aware of what we also want to involve and what we definitely want to avoid. And when we move over to the next competitor, we see that this doesn't necessarily have to be about the narrative or the USPs. It can also be about the information itself and the structuring of the information. For example, here I noticed that this website doesn't even say what their product or service is. They don't even mention that they are an insurance company actually, and their main headline on the hero stage is super generic. Only if we look further down, we see the products. And seeing this, I know that I definitely don't want to have this for us, okay? Seeing this, reading this, I am becoming very aware of how important I consider it to introduce ourselves properly on the hero stage, okay? And when you scroll down here, you can also see that I analyzed how exactly the information is presented. Like here, for example, the USPs are presented as listed items. And also we can see which sections of the websites they preview in their home section, in which order, and so on and so forth. So this is what I do in my competitor analysis, okay? This is what I do to prepare my copy audit. And when I'm done with analyzing the copy of my competitors, in the end, I usually summarize my findings and put them down here. And I summarize my findings per section. So this is my summary for the home section, for example. And it includes, for example, the typical USPs that are mentioned, but also other things I observed. For example, that some companies list the entirety of their products in their home section and others don't. But I don't only include observations. I also include my learnings. For example, that I definitely want a short introduction of our products and our services on the hero stage, because everything else just doesn't look right for me. The same goes for the contact information. And throughout the home section, I want different CTAs, not the same CTA repeated over and over again in every part of the home section. So this is exactly how I learned from my competitor analysis, how I deduce knowledge and make conclusions for writing my own UX copy. Now, when we're done with that, we can go back up here and check off this step because we're done, right? And we're happy to have come a little closer to reaching our ultimate goal. And as we can see, the next step is just waiting around the corner, which is the heart of all of this, okay? The copy review, because now the time has come that we have gathered all this information that will help us to see if our copy is actually good or not, and what makes it good and what makes it not good. So just like we have done this for our competitors, we can now do it for ourselves, our own copy. And here it is important that you review your copy after having done all of this analyzing, okay? Because we need all of the information we collected to now make a solid, profound, information-based copy audit. This way, we make sure that we don't just act according to our own personal taste or our gut feeling, but that we conduct a structured, solid, profound, information-based UX copy audit, okay? This is how we do this professionally. So again, you go through each screen and leave notes about the existing copy and whether you would like to change something or not. And if so, what would you like to change? And let's also see how you can do that. Let's again zoom in a little and dive a little deeper. Now we have seen what our competitors do in their home sections, right? So let's put our version against theirs. And what I first realized is that our navigation is fully focused on our products. It's definitely what stands out to me. So our products make up the navigation, and the other sections like the About section and the Contact section are nowhere to be found in this navigation. This may have SEO related reasons, so I might need to talk to our SEO experts, but I think if users just want to find out about us and learn whether or not they can trust us as a company, we should definitely give them a more direct option to get to know more about our company and team. Also, if we look a little further, the cookie banner sounds a little rude, so we should just try to adjust it at least a little bit to our voice and tone. And then please remember what we've just learned from our competitor analysis. We also don't have a short introduction on the hero stage. So we kind of say what we do in the headline and in some of the USPs, but I personally want to properly introduce ourselves to the potential customers. So I want to add a short paragraph about who we are and what we do. Just one sentence, babes, okay? Just one sentence. I need that here. And when we scroll down, we see an overview of the single insurance products that we sell. And funnily, their descriptions in the English version of the website only consists of the original German name, probably because it's a German product, but I really wonder if that is helpful to our English-speaking customers. So why not add a short description of what this product actually is all about? Also, these CTAs right here are all the same. So if a user uses a screen reader, this description is not specific enough. It would just be learn more, learn more, learn more. So we need to check the alt text here at least. Other notes concern other parts of the copy, for example, the order in which the information appears, like this one, because we currently use the fact that we also speak English as an absolutely important USP, while our competitors don't even mention it at all. And here it shows that only with the competitor analysis we can see that our USPs might be a little too weak, okay? Because for us, this is a big thing. For our competitors, it is just a given in this day and age, and they might mention it somewhere on the website, but they don't make a big deal out of it, while we act as if it was something super special. So this doesn't really make us look too good here. And further down, you see that I also take little side notes, for example, about the font and the font style, if I notice that it kind of harms the readability, or as you can see down here, the capitalization. It's definitely a design decision, but well, still, if something strikes us concerning the copy and the readability of the copy, and we think that we can improve that, we write it down. So this is what we do for all parts of our website. And when we're done with that, we go back up here to our little agenda and check this task off our list, right? What a happy moment. Now, technically, we are already done with our copy audit, but of course we want to improve the things that we found and rewrite the copy according to what we've found in our copy audit. And of course, when you're done with that, you can ask the designers if they want you to paste the designs with the new copy into their Figma design file. Just remember that this should not be your single source of truth concerning copy. Figma is not a documentation tool, okay? So you should also document the new UX copy in your copy documentation file. So maybe your spreadsheet or any other tool that you chose for your project. And you know the game. When you're done, my dear friends, let's go back and check this off as well, because we are done right now. Time to celebrate. And also please consider presenting the process and your learnings to your team, because that will help them understand your job and see what your writing decisions are based on, right? That they're not just based on mere intuition or personal taste, but that all decisions were well prepared and professionally made. Now, please note that, of course, there are also other approaches to conducting a copy audit. This is just the approach that has proven to work for me, okay? But I promise it has been tested a couple of times in my writing practice, so it works. Now we're done here, my friends. Let me know in the comments what you think. Was that even helpful for you? Are you even sticking around? Is anybody watching the video up until this point? Have you ever done a copy audit before? And did you do it differently? I would actually love to know all that. Now, also make sure you follow me on Instagram, where I also share free tips and tricks about writing in tech and especially UX writing. And other than that, there is nothing left to say for me except keep on writing, enjoy the process, and I hope to see you sometime soon.